Ahoy friends, welcome to Building the Alpha Dory. I'm Dan, and this is a project to build a Chamberlain racing dory from John Gardner's The Dory Book, illustrations by Sam Manning. Today we'll be out in the shop finishing cutting the breast hook and finishing trimming the rails. Well, if you happen to get in on our last video, we were trimming, fitting the breast hook, and then we came up with a couple different options for the shape and kind of settled on this somewhat lighter but slightly more elegant contour. So yeah, let's cut that out and see if we can get this on into the boat. So here's the breast hook, more or less ready to go in. And this is the first time I've kind of final fit it, so you guys are right in on the action along with me. What we'll want to do is put it in a little bit high so that you can see the rail is at an angle here, so that we can blend the rail into the shape of this block. But yeah, it looks good. So that'll get nailed and glued in. It's a little cold to glue today, so I guess we're going to have to hold off putting it in, as much as I would love to put this thing in. But we've got plenty to do back on at the stern of this dory, this racing craft, and yeah, that's just as important for the go fast stuff as the bow is, maybe even more, because the stern is kind of like our gas pedal. That's where the main sheet attaches, whereas the bow is what basically holds our engine on, because that's where the stays are that hold the mast up. So the bow is our engine bed and the stern is our gas pedal. But anyway, yeah, let's get back there and see if we can fit the cross cleat for the transom today as well. Alright, so for folks who have been watching my videos for any amount of time, you may remember that the back of the shop tends to be a little bit lacking as far as light goes. So if you happen to notice this little thing, it's actually a pull chain for a set of fluorescent lights that I recently had donated to the channel. So yeah, a massive thank you to the gent who was nice enough to drop these by the project. So yeah, you can actually see back here now, and he gave me a light for the shop light for the bow as well. So if you notice that the video is a little bit easier to see, and yeah, saves time moving lights around as well, because you know, a lot of times you get back here and you just can't take a video, it's so dark. So yeah, there's that, and we can take off the clamps there. I'm gonna have to go around to the other side so I can actually get back in here around without tipping the camera over. But yeah, we're ready to take off these clamps as well. The rail, the glue in the rail seemed to dry out pretty well before the real chilly, oh shoot. Now I'm wishing that I'd marked a center. Well, actually, I probably did mark a center line on this, and then I ran it through the planer. I'll tell you what else I'll do is I'm going to take this clamp off. We're down to one clamp holding the transom in place. Alright, there goes anyway. So, oh yeah, there's a light there. So anyhow, you may have noticed that this, gosh, it was probably 5 or 6 videos ago now, we made a transom cleat. And then when I went back to the drawings in John Gardner's The Dory book, and took a look at a couple of those illustrations by Sam, I noticed that the the transom cleat falls inside of these inner rails. The rails don't land on top of the transom cleat. So we had to mash the brakes on putting this thing in. And but now that we've got the rails in, we're ready to roll. So the first thing I think I'll do is go grab a straight edge, a steel, and then we can transfer the angle of these rails up onto the face of the cleat. And then we'll have to measure the width at the bottom of the rails, and we can use that, so we'll have the angles and then we'll have the width as the measurement there. So the other thing is I want to get this, and you know what, it's really close enough. That's the idea. Let's take a measurement here. This may be a quickie sort of way to kind of gauge what's going on. Let's see, 6 inches, so the center is 6 inches, would be 3 inches. Alright. Oh wow, that's almost exactly where we had it by eye. So yeah. Anyway, if you've got a good eye, and a lot of people really do, if you just practice with it a bit, you can get pretty close to the center of stuff. So, we got this on the center of the arc there. Now let's put the steel on these rails. Here's the angle that the rail is actually at on the boat. We didn't know what these angles would be, before we put the rail on a week or two ago. But now that we've got those rails on, now we know the exact angle. The other angle that we're going to need to cut when we cut these is the angle from the flat of the transom up along this these two rails, and it's going to be, looks like it's going to be close to 90 degrees, but not 90 degrees. So let me grab that bevel square again, and we can take that. We can capture that that angle with the bevel square. Yeah, now you got me wondering where I left my bevel square. Well, I've got a couple of them in the shop. This one is sort of an interesting, it's an all metal one. The wing nut on it is super inconvenient for measuring stuff, but it'll work for this because the wing nut will not be in the way. What I'm going to do is hold it square to the transom and then set it and forget it. So I'm holding it square parallel across to these lines, this line here, and then square to the, oh, that's interesting. I should actually be holding it square to the face here, and never mind this, because this is the path that the saw blade is going to travel. And when you're taking this measurement, what you want is this face to be exactly parallel to the saw face, because that's what the true angle is, and there's not really a difference here to here, so I guess I'm good, but just something to keep in mind. Yeah, alright, so let's get the ruler on there, see if we can get an accurate measurement. All we need is one measurement, either top or bottom will do. So let's get the easy one, which is the top. So that's going to be 9 inches at the top. So whatever these lines are, I'll make them 9 inches apart, but at the same angle to the piece of wood. See how close they are to 9 inches right now. Oh wow, it's almost exact. It's actually a tiny bit over 9 inches. Now that's odd because these rails are angled in. So you'd think, since they're angled in, you would think, oh, this measurement is going to be, since we took it like this, you know, this measurement is going to be smaller than the actual measurement that we end up with. But since we were measuring forward about 1.5 inches from the plate here, you know, the actual back of the thing, what we were measuring was forward, so the rails widen as you come forward in the boat. So we're actually marking a mark. If the rails widened more quickly, we would have ended up with something that was, you know, out here. So it'd be even wider than the piece that we want to cut. So, yeah, so what we ended up with was effectively pretty close to what this actual measurement is. So when I cut this, what I want to do is I want to cut on these lines, but on the other side, oh gosh, yeah, this is going to get complicated. Yeah, on the other side of the board. So what I can almost do at this point is mark this so I can see it. Mark this so I can see it. Then I'll flip it over, and I'm going to put these and I got the center line here, so yeah, so I got that. Let me get a square on that just so I can show you guys what I'm up to. Yeah, we got the center mark from where we marked it off this center line on the transom. So I'll transfer this center line up. Need to get a pencil that doesn't have a broken lead. Alright. So I'll put that line on the center line that's marked on the transom. Now I'm going to remark this thing with the exact same marks that we just made. This is going to be possibly a tiny bit big. Now we do want to plane these surfaces with the hand plane to trim them up. So there's nothing wrong with it being a tiny bit big. Yeah. Alright, let's make the cut. I'll bring this bevel square over to the saw to set the table at. Alright, so here's the square. table to the desired angle. So this is an old Dunlop bandsaw. Does a good job. I had to put get a motor for it when it had been outdoors when I got it for maybe a decade or so. So it needed a bit of reconditioning, oiling, sanding the rust off it. I could probably actually give it a coat of paint at some point, but just it's been working, a bit of a workhorse here in the shop, and so what I want to do is I want this face to be the wide face, which means I'm going to have to make a cut like this. This piece of wood is too long to make that cut, so I'm going to have to come out maybe an inch and a half or so beyond the ends and just trim the ends off of this to get to where I want to be. And then we'll be pretty close and we'll be ready to cut the rest of this. Interesting. Yes, I don't know if you noticed, I just screwed up the cut. So the first cut I made, that was a finish cut, I beveled the lock in the wrong direction, so yeah, thankfully I hadn't made those rough cuts too close, so I was able to recut it. I had plenty of wood. I was able to recut it to the proper length. Alright, let's see how this fits. Bit of a nail biter here. Ooh, wow, I should have cut it a little bit longer. It's not bad though. Let me show you that. Cut the angles just about perfect. So if I cut it a little bit longer, it would be further down in the boat. But that's not a big deal. And what I can do is I'll just trim off this much on the arc. And I'll mark that on both sides. Make sure that it's just so. And then, then we'll nail this puppy in. And you see how it braces the transom area here. Really blocks it in good. So this will keep the transom from cracking or splitting at all. Alright, so I just marked the amount of overlap on the transom on either corner. It's not a lot. So what I think I'll do is, this whole thing needs to get planed. So I think what I'll do is I'll just take that down with the hand plane down to the lines there. Getting pretty close. Looks good. I think I'll have to go in this direction. Hoping that you guys would be able to see it better over there, but I'm not going to be able to plane it at that angle. Looking good. Okay, let's go see how this fits. Ooh, yeah, look at that. Could actually take off a little bit more on both sides. Might have been because my pencil's not the sharpest. That's maybe why it's not. Then I just kind of went up close to the line. I didn't go to the line, and what I needed to do was take the line in this case. So, well, you can see how that's fitting in there. Really nice. And that blocks the rails, keeps them apart, keeps them from coming in. It also, when you fasten through them into here, it'll keep them from pushing down, which they can't do much of anyway because they're right against the transom. It just locks these rails in place and keeps the transom from cracking along the grain. So above this notch is where we're going to put in the sculling. Above this cleat is where we're going to put in the sculling notch, which gets cut out like this, and then the actual transom is going to get radiused down. Alright, so just a tiny bit more to take off, and then we'll do a final fit. Alright, so that's the final fit until we nail and glue this in. And then we'll fair everything in with the rails as well. And yeah, looking good. Thanks for stopping by Building the Alpha Dory. A massive thank you to everyone who has supported the channel. Your support and comments and likes and subscribes and whatever are what make it so that we can do this project, and you keep the channel going. So yeah, thanks everybody, and we look forward to seeing y'all in the next video. Bye.